All right. And my microphone breaks. Good. Okay, back in action. Right. So let's see. So we last worked on this on the 10th of December, quite a long time ago. So I included a word list this time. I think we already did all the transliteration work. Yes, we have, I think, at least. Yes. So what do we have so far? And here we begin. So we have 5 shekels of silver. Ya ging kubabbar. I guess we could make this a single word, kubabbar. Ur eshpesh, and we know this to be a person. In the committed case, which in this case, for the sake of perhaps space, or because of things not being pronounced in Sumerian for some reason, is not included in the writing, but is then referenced in the verb a few lines after. So here, Andantuku is owned by. Literally, it has, well, he has it with him. So with whom? With Ureshpesh. Who? Well, the agent of the sentence in the ergative, which would be Aba-Utugim. And we also have Shubati, which stands for it was received. He had received for himself. So we know that the shekels, the 5 shekels of silver were, well, accepted by Aba-Utugim. And yeah, that would be the whole sentence explained for you.
Very good.
And what do we have?
Quick question before we go on. So we have one main verb, which is
Yes,
Andantuku,
this would be the conjugated verb.
right? But then we have the Shubati in between. And I try to remember, it's been so long. Shubati. That's also a finite verb using that reflexive or medial passive ba.
Right.
And that's it. There are no endings on it because we don't really need any, since there's only the object that he received, which would be a zero ending. So basically, are these just
Yeah.
coordinate main verbs? It's like
Sorry.
verbal chain 1, verbal chain 2. Yeah, that's okay, huh? We don't need any. I guess I'm asking a question about Sumerian syntax in general. If I have like verb 1, verb 2, I don't need any special forms, linking forms. There's no Japanese te, no late Egyptian conjunctive. You just basically use a finite verb and then you use another finite verb, and there can be other stuff in between. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense, and you can do it. Although I'm going to add one thing.
Mhm.
Here in the Shubati, you could also technically see it as a Shubati and then a nominalizing particle a, which is left unwritten after the verbal base as it ends in a vowel.
That makes sense. That was the direction I was going. Something like he owes it having received it for himself. So sort of like in Japanese would be a te form or
Yeah. So adding the nominalizing particle, you would have something along the lines of that he received for himself.
Mhm.
And so then henceforth the verb is to be considered, well, semantically as a noun. So we would only have one verb that behaves like a verb, which would be the conjugated verb, referencing both the ergative agent and the ergative object, well, the accusative object, so to say.
Got it. Makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
I'll keep it included because, well, why not? It's surely not a mistake. More like a educated guess. Of course, we can't know whether it's there or not, but it makes perfect sense to um, give for granted that it is. So,
Cool.
moving on. Well. Who wants to go? Well, this is interesting again. And this is why having the Chrestomathy now would come in very, very helpful and handy. But we'll have to, well, I have to get by without it. Although I highly suggest you guys use it because we have quite a few interesting things in this tablet. So this starts with a number, right? Does anyone feel like having a go at the line?
So I know a dish is one, and gin4 is a unit of measurement. I
Right.
recall that one. I think it's like
I think we
4/5 of a, yes, there is shekels. Let's say shekels. But urkesh, I can't recall. I've seen before.
no problem. So one thing I'll say is that we know that ur as a word is a self-standing word, means something along the lines of dog, well, canine.
Yeah, or sometimes hero.
Yes. However, it is also one of the main means in Sumerian history of creating proper names.
Oh, yes.
Take, for example, Urnamma, or we could just go above and read Ur Esh Besh. So we don't know why that is. My, again, educated guess would be that Ur stands for both dog and, well, something completely unrelated. Or that Ur could stand for, well, not a dog, I would hope, but rather some of the good attributes that come with, the concept of dog, such as, I don't know, fidelity or love or whatever. So like maybe acolyte would be a good translation. Acolyte of, because it's usually Ur and then a divine name or something of that sort. The follower of. But again, that's nothing beyond an educated guess. So why am I telling you this? Because you should be looking at the names list in Volk's Chrestomathy, because this is a name. Well, actually,
very nice.
There's not much to look up because again the name is Urkesh, and I don't think Volk is going to add any meaningful information. But just for you, just so you know, when you see
he does list it.
Good.
On page 111.
Very good.
Urkesh, and he has it with a key after it. Is that the case here? Did we not transcribe a key after it?
Ooh, maybe we, okay. So line number.
Urkesh.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the cache 5. And this is a key.
So that's a key there, right?
Right. So the other thing is sometimes proper names come with very odd classifiers, such as key.
He does, I mean, he has it in his section of personal names. So it's not like he says that it's a geographical name. It's in the list of personal names.
It does happen. It does happen. It's not a weird thing to see, actually. It's documented. The key, for some reason, does appear after quite a few names in Sumerian.
Yeah.
That leaves you wondering. The dog and the key, I don't know, man. Weird people.
What does cache mean?
Weird people.
Sorry?
Do we know what cache 3 is?
I wouldn't. Okay, let me check. It's not bad.
Because I'm wondering if that's a location, then it could make some sense.
I think it does have a dinger before. No, it doesn't. Good. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe. Cache 3.
Cache comes with a key, basically. That's not uncommon. That's one of the common spellings.
I don't.
Cache 3.
Oh no, wait, sorry, wrong cache maybe. I was looking for cache 3.
Yeah, no luck.
Wait, it's cache 3, isn't it? Yeah, cache 3.
I wasn't able to find anything in APSD.
EPSD 2 has it.
Hmm.
But is the spelling the same? I'm trying to see. It doesn't look the same to me. Hang on. Can you scroll up again how it was spelled in our text? I don't.
Sure. Would be line number 6 after the ur.
Okay, like this. Let me see. Is that in
Also,
the
mind that there might be some discrepancies between the classification granted by Volk and the other, and the
yeah?
sign classification by other authors.
What does SN mean again in EPSD2? N is normally name. Like DN would be divine
S,
name. What is SN? Silly name.
like this. I'm not sure actually. Let me check.
And
A settlement name. Sorry.
settlement
It
name.
stands
Oh,
for settlement. Yes. So
Okay,
it's a
so it's a
place,
place.
probably.
Place is called Kesh, and he's the Ur-Kesh.
he's the guy of cash.
He's the Kesh, the
Yeah.
cashier.
Quite ironic because in English, in vernacular English, you can have dog for friend. Like
Yeah.
it's a dog. So
Actually, Urkesh is a place from northern Mesopotamia.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Kesh, yeah.
one of the Hurrian, as I know, one of the main cities of Hurrians,
Mm-hmm. It's Kesh.
Urkesh.
Urkesh itself. Interesting.
Yeah, it is name.
Oh, wait a
So
second.
this dog was quite famous.
Wait, is Kesh the
Probably.
same thing as Kish?
No, 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 no.
Different, right? Completely
It
different.
is Urkesh.
Different.
Ur-Kesh.
Yeah, Kish is it's another city and it's spelled I think differently. So. But yeah, so we have Dishgin, which is quite straightforward if you ask me,
One shekel.
right? And then we have Urkesh. What case might that be in?
Actually, I just remember wrong, but it is all. It is still a location.
No problem. Yeah,
Uh, it is northern Syria, northeast.
I'll be checking it out.
Very good.
All right, so about the Urkesh, we want to keep it there for a little bit. Let's just keep it there then. Let's not jump to any conclusion yet. All right, Shubati again. Not much to discuss
The
here.
same as in line 3.
Above.
All right, so I'll just Shubati. Good. Handatuku again. We do have it again in line number
5.
Yes. Is owned by him. So we have a commutative again, and we know that the commutative is often left out in writing outside of the verbal chain. So we should have a stray element in the sentence, which should go with a case, but right now is not marked by anything. So what would that be?
The Urkesh, likely.
Right. Very good. Yeah, sometimes you get tricked because with time you get used to the idea that one line kind of corresponds to one uniform piece of information sentence-wise. So you have whether just a verb or the object or the subject, and sometimes it's not really straightforward because sometimes it happens that you have the object, so one shekel, and another component of the sentence, another logical component of the sentence, which goes in another case. So you have two different cases, which are not easy to pinpoint and spot in the same line. So one line does not always equal one unit of meaning. Let's call it like that. All right, I thought it would be useful to say.
Makes
So
sense.
one shekel by Urkesh. That we received. Oops. Is owned by him. We don't have a subject here specified, so we have to tie it back to the only one ergative subject that we have, which is Aba-Utugim. So we know that the guy who is own things is His Majesty Aba-Utugim, and the other people will be the debt givers. Quick parenthesis about Aba-Utugim. Quite a name. Abba means who, Utu is the sun god, and Gin will be the equative case. So Aba-Utugim translates to someone like Utu, or well, who is like Utu. So again, very creative people. Not a fan of the names. All right, so moving on, line number 9. So I think I included the vocabulary in the word lists.
Okay.
So shuri or shuria.
Okay.
Yes. So like a fraction or a portion or just halves. And then we have shuri kam, shebi. And then we run into a problem. Now I was thinking about, I didn't quite have the time to like formulate it and everything, but this is very interesting. I think this is the most interesting thing we have in this tablet. Because if we look here, actually, you know what? Let's just translate the rest for now. We'll do bariga at the end. So we know that shuri means half, right?
Yes.
So what is the contraption kam?
Must be a genitive of some kind, you would think.
Right. So we have a genitive, so ak, and then we have am.
Normally a copula.
Very much. And then we have shebi.
It's B, whatever she is. It's she, I mean.
Right, yeah.
She's barley, isn't it?
Right, yes.
Oh.
So shebi. Now, if we get rid of the copula, this becomes very much evident. This is a headless genitive. So translated literally, it would be of the portion, its grain. So like a portion of the grain, half of the grain, half of the barley. You guys follow me?
Yep.
Very good. So if we add a copula, then we just have to add it in the translation as well. So how will you guys translate it? It's basically just what I said plus a copula.
Right. I'm just a little bit confused by the ak and the b both being there. Because, I mean, shurikam I would translate as its half is, basically. But then why it's barley? Oh, is that because
this is known as
headless? You said headless genitive, right? I was distracted for a moment here.
Yeah.
So that's one genitive, basically. But still weird. If you wanted to say its head, well, I'll try. If you want to say its half is barley, I would assume that would be I would have assumed something like Shuriak She'am or something, or Shem or something of that nature. So I would have put the copula at the end of the sentence. That would have been my naive assumption, like A, B, but that's not what's happening. The is at the first element. So that throws me off a little bit.
Well, the thing is, well, in some languages you have more than one way of forming
one possibility.
Yes, you have it, although it's not the same thing in German as well. When you have this something something, but it's actually reversed. That's there. You have the genitive article, and then you have the thing you're specifying, and then the second term after it.
Right, meines Vaters Haus. Yes, right. Instead of the house of my father's house. English too. Yeah.
So why is that? Good question. We know the language does not evolve, logically. Basically, we have this construction. What are the benefits of it? I'm not sure actually.
No,
Maybe
of course.
the meaning of the, I don't know. probably the relation between the two. I'm not sure actually. You know, when it comes to Sumerian, maybe, I mean, you know, because of cuneiform being cuneiform, some of the meaningful aspects are like lost and don't survive the archaeological and linguistic records, so we don't know why the choice of, you know, employing this genitive would be justified, but we do have this construction, and I can look into it.
No, that's fine. I'm just I'm still a little bit confused by what this is actually trying to tell me here in line 9. Rasmus, Mustafa, do you guys have an idea?
Sorry.
I'm saying I'm still confused by that first part of line 9, what that actually is trying to tell me. Maybe it would help to know what Barigata is. Can we cover that part first?
I would exclude it for a second because we're gonna get to that in a second.
Okay, all right.
I was just about this part, which is without the copula, it's just a headless genitive. So, you know, once you know the formula, I guess, it becomes clear. So it's literally.
Is it half of the barley?
Yes.
Okay. And then by having the you're just making it is half of the barley, period.
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay, that helped. I got it. Okay. I would
And
have thought that then you would go like Shuri Yak Shebi but that's not the way it works. It is Shuri Yakam Shebi. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Correct. So now we get to the interesting part. So I'm gonna keep the later the letter ta because no doubts about that. But now we get to the interesting part. So we are now at line number 9. So this would be the first character, shu, the hand, and then we have ri, which would actually be the sign for city, iri, and we know that logographic signs often kind of devolve into phonetical signs, so phonetical spelling. So iri becomes ri, syllabically, phonetically. So shu ri. And then we have kam, which is, you know, this thing right here. And then we have she, which stands for barley, b, which we're very much used to. And then we have the cool thing. The two cones, you know, and you know, when you see two things, two cones, two dots, you say, well, why would that mean anything but two? Why would you have it as bariga? And that's a good question, because I think Volk is very much not clear about this. Now, you can look up this too at the last page of the cuneiform chart. So it's on the very last page. And you'll see that he has two, and then he has bariga in parentheses. So let's start easy. What is bariga? Bariga is a unit of volume, and it roughly equates to 60 liters, in this case of grain. But this begs the question, why is there a bariga in parentheses when you look up, you know, the two cones? This sign is clearly not bariga, and we can check other sources as well. I have Laba at hand, so let's just take a look at Laba. And you'll see that if you look up the sign for bariga in Laba, you will actually come across nothing, because bariga does not have a sign of itself. It's spelled phonetically, ba-ri-ga. So why is there a bariga in parentheses after the two? No idea. Let's check the two. In Sumerian, two is min. So let's take a look at min. I hated the spelling here. I always confuse the N's for M's. So, oh yeah, this should be it. So let's see on what page we can find the min. So 570. Let's go back to 570. What is this? Okay, we're close. 78, 70, 70. Okay. This would be the standard, Assyrian, like Babylonian sign for min for 2. And we see that there is no such thing as 2 being transliterated and translated as bariga. So again, why is there a bariga in parentheses? Very good question. Can't say I have a definitive answer, but I did find something in this article. I think no, not this. Oh God, I lost it. Well, I had it at some point, so I guess the source. So now will have to be trust me, bro. You probably used different shapes of cones for different measures. So by having 2 cones, you kind of imply the fact that you are dealing with bariga units. So that would be 2 in the context of bariga. So this precise unit of volume. So I hope you found that very interesting.
No, wait. Where did this conjecture come from now?
Sorry?
Where did this conclusion come from now? That is a bariga and no other unit? I mean, I get the 2. You see a sign doubled, you would assume it's some kind of dual here, but how do we know what unit it is? Where do we find that bariga? Is that a...
Well, first of all, I mean, it's 50% a logical, how would you say that? Assumption. Thing is, if we put bariga into parentheses, I can think of 2 reasons. First is what I said, as in that particular sign and shape is used in the context of units of volume and maybe just bariga, while you would use the normal sphere for other things. Or the second is Volk does not have the means to actually tell you about volumes of measure and stuff, so he just puts it there as a instruction, as a tip, I don't know, just to say hi. So it's 2, but it means 2 bariga. In the context, you'll have to look it up for.
Okay.
And I also have a couple articles which seem to hint in the direction I was going to as well. This one, right? Yeah, this, which does list some of, I mean, it goes through, well, old Babylonian math and things like that. So I'll link it. I'll just send it in the chat later, I guess. So for now, I say we just rely on the assumption that the 2 here is either specific for bariga or used in the context of bariga. Maybe we just don't know. Maybe when they talked about barley, they said, okay, well, what else but quagmire, sorry, bariga. So what other measure would you use if not bariga? And so they did not include it. And we know that, and Volk didn't think it would be useful to spend time on it, so we just put it in parentheses.
Right.
So no.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, basically,
so I found it really, really interesting. So I'll just do this.
What I'm taking away from what we know about the measurement system, this is the measurement unit that makes sense in this context, basically, is what you're saying. It's like, it's probably not going to be a swimming pool fall. It's probably not going to be an ounce, but it's going to be whatever that bariga thing in the middle is that we know from another context. So
You're right.
It can be substituted here, is what I'm taking as a grain measure.
Also because bariga itself, I mean, the meaning would be it's a bushel measure, like a grain racket. I don't know how to call it, a grain.
Right.
Are you guys familiar with what a bushel is, or should I just? Yeah, this is a bushel.
For some reason, I have it as bushel actually, but with a U.
Oh well, bushel, yeah, bushel.
Bushel, yeah, that's one of those weird pronunciations, but yeah.
Right. So you would probably use this to weight out, grain and stuff.
Right.
So we couldn't call them bushel units. Oh, I actually included it. I forgot. Yeah, bariga, bushel measure, container. and it gets loaned to Akkadian as persiktu. But in Akkadian, I think it just means bushel. I'm not sure. Well, so we have the time.
4 pecks, 8 gallons, or 32 quarts. Imperial measures such. I mean, it's 4 pecks. Of course, obviously, you know how much a peck is.
Not really.
Let's go with bushel. Fine. Okay. All right. Why does it have the tar at the end?
What does the tar stand for usually?
Ablative.
Ablative.
Right. The ablative can roughly be translated with from. So why don't we just keep it as from? And we say, I mean, if you have from and then you take it as a measure, then you have from the measure. That doesn't make much sense. But if you keep it to the literal sense of, a basket, basically, you could have from the baskets, from the 2 baskets, from the 2 bushel baskets, basically. So what do you say about that?
Temporarily fine. Let's review once we have everything together.
All right, Sidam. Very intimidating again. Rogue copula, but let's work through the things. So what is C? Actually, what is this? Is it a verb?
Probably yes.
You
Good.
think?
Yes, it is. So
Yes.
the verb would be, did I include it? Yes, C.
To fill, to pour.
Right.
And then it could be with the ed
Right.
marker and then a copula.
Right.
So it would mean filled. It is filled.
It is to be filled.
It is to be filled. Sorry, yes.
I would include a directive here. So it becomes a, what did I call them initially? Dimensional participle, I think, because it has a case. So let's go bit by bit. C is to fill. So C alone is, filling or fill, dictionary form. Then you add ed, which is something that is, it implies a notion, it, carries the information of a notion, I mean, carries the notion of something that is ongoing. So it's being filled or filling, And then if you add the e, the directive, it becomes for the filling, for filling, so to be filled, because we have no way of forming, passives through prefixes in non-finite constructions, because it's, again, non-finite. So in order to fill, or in order to be filled, you could also have a locative there, meaning it does not change. Actually, I like locative better. So without the copula, again, we just have to be filled, right? Is Aurelio? Yeah, let's just wait.
He escaped.
Yeah, it's quite scary. Well, this is actually the first time we tackle a text this hard, and I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah. So we have to say half of the barley needs to be filled from the 2 baskets.
Right, because then we have a copula here.
It is to be filled.
Exactly. It looks off-putting at first, but then you get it all together, and you actually find out that you can translate things literally, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Visible, literal. Then we have two thingies. Lugal Ku.
So Lugal, of course, is king, but Ku?
Ku is
What's
a
the
butt.
Ku here? What?
A butt. Buttocks.
Buttocks.
Yes, I'll spare you the. I mean, you look at it, you say the king of the butt. What the hell is that? Of course, it's gonna be a, proper name.
Okay.
So
Didn't
the
see
man
that
butt.
coming.
Yeah, you can check, but I do.
Lugal Ku. Yeah, he has it here. And under personal names, Lugal Ku.
So I'll include it as the man butt,
The man butt.
king of the butt.
Can't leave you alone. What are you guys doing?
We finished. Rasmus, do you want to explain what is going on here?
No, I don't want to. Okay, so the line 10 here is the verb see, to fill, and then we have a D, which is from add, the add that forms a sort of present participle or gerund, filling, and then it's followed, presumably, we think, by a locative or perhaps a directive.
Right.
It could be either. So to be filled in filling, and then at the end the M signifies the copula. So it is to be filled, presumably from the two baskets.
Makes sense. No, thank you very
From
much.
the
Of
two
course, I was asking
bodyguards.
about the next line. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've taken no responsibility for that.
So the ku has a whole lot of readings, but it originally stands for the buttocks. So the king of, I mean, it's a name. What else would it be? It's like, yeah, I'll just say it, I guess.
The king of the butt. Oh my God.
And who is this king of the butt?
It's a priest.
Yes, he's a gala.
Which is sort of a Inanna type priest.
Right. And which is also spelled with a butt.
Yes.
Yeah, so Ush means supporter, doesn't it?
Yes.
Or support.
It does.
I remember the song Ush, which appears all the time in folk, in Hayes.
Started reading it. I'm now at chapter 7, I think.
So he's a butt supporter.
Butt supporter. So look
An
how
official
cool.
position. I'm not going any further. Let's leave it there.
So this actually really, I mean, again, the wonders of Sumerian. This is line number. Okay, so this is Lugal Ku, and then we have Gala, which is Ushku, and then we have this and this, which are the same sign. Because
so they just mirrored it.
Not even. So it's the same sign.
Not even. Yeah, I see.
But if you look at them for like 2 seconds, you start getting hallucinations, and you see like as if they were mirrored, but it's actually the Sumerians playing a trick on you. It's not real. Don't listen to it.
No wonder it died out. Okay.
So this is terrible, and I hate Volk for this. But the first is ish, which is actually the I don't want to say main, the archaic reading, so the main one, such as ka for all things mouthy. Why do we have it like that? We don't know how it's pronounced, but it's probably a name, a personal name. So you might as well find it in the list. Probably gonna be there. If it's not written as ish, it's probably written as kush, but I don't think so.
Rasmus, you have the list. I don't have it. Any luck?
Yeah, it does have ish.
Good.
It
So
says text 30, line 13, so this has to be it.
right. Then Kush. What is Kush 7?
Push 7.
It's a horse groom. Someone who grooms horses for a living.
Oh, yeah. It says here, groom.
So we have Ish, the groom. What a name, what a guy.
The groom-ish. Okay.
Groomish.
He's the groom.
Ish the groom.
Is the groom.
Perfect sense. And who are they? Ish the groom and, well, Lugal Ku the Gala, the butt support. They are this.
They are Luki Inim Mabime. So it is you had this in the glossary, and I also just recently read it in Hayes. Luki Inim is witness, man of the word.
Right.
Yeah.
So Luki Nimma. So the cool thing about Luki Nimma in this instance is that we have a very clear example of how Sumerian, I mean, the cuneiform Sumerian script actually does very heavy usage of mnemonical, how to say it, spelling, because in the last line, again, maybe for the sake of space, you do not have inim.
Right.
It's
No, I see that. That's missing. You have
Yes.
Luki Ma Bime.
Why? Because, well, the guy who's going to read this for whatever reason will probably, I mean, had probably been reading the same kind of tablets for like all his working life. So he knows that at the end, you have this, formulaic construction where you say guy and guy are whom? The witnesses. And so you have the word. So you don't need to spell it. The guy just knows. It's like when you have Munadu, sometimes spelled as Muna N-Du. The guy reads it.
Right. Makes sense.
He's like, oh yeah, well, okay, I don't care. Got the meaning. Bye. And then he seals it, he burns it. So again, formulaic spelling, mnemonic, doesn't really help us, but did the job apparently. And then what do we have? Last two thingies.
So B could be the man of that case. So basically, witnesses to this, or
Right.
it could be his or its. Yeah, it's. Boom, boom.
Yeah. It also works as a collective, so there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then me should be probably yeah. Me is would be a copula, but it's this is the form for the first or second person singular.
because we know that the third person singular copula would be right?
And in the plural third person it would be mesh.
Good, you already got to the conclusion of it. So when you have me, it could stand for men, so either I am or you are, but it could also stand for mesh, so they are.
Okay, cool.
Because again, why writing things the right way when you can be, a Sumerian and do, things. So we end up with they, I mean, yeah, basically they are.
But who are they? Is the groom, or
Yes.
is it more than okay? It's the okay.
It's
Butt king.
the butt king and the groomish.
Yeah, okay. So it's the butt king who is a gala priest, and then the groom ish, and the two of them are witnesses to this case.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, okay.
Can you scroll up a little bit?
Sure. 1 second.
To see the whole crime.
Right. So let's start from the top. 5 shekels of silver
Mhm.
with, or literally by, well, sorry, literally with, or by Ur Eshpesh,
Mhm.
which have been received
Mhm.
Aba-Utugim
Mhm.
is owned by, literally, he has it with him, with whom? With Ur Eshpesh. What does he also have? He also has 1 shekel by Urkesh, which he received, and he is owned. And then it is half of the barley that is to be filled from the 2 bariga baskets, let's call them bushel baskets, and Lugal Ku, the Gala sorcerer, and Ish the groom, they are the witnesses.
Okay. Let me get the facts of the case straight then. So the ergativity guy there, what's his name again? Aba-Utugim. Aba-Utugim is the debtor in this case. So
Yes.
we're actually stating who owes, which makes some sense. So it's an IOU essentially. Now, the part that confuses me is the barley thing. The rest is clear. I mean, the rest says, hey, I owe this much to that guy and that this much to yonder guy. So far so good. Shuri kamshebi tu barigata sidam. What does it actually mean? Does that mean that you're going to pay it back in barley? Does it mean that it was for the purchase of
Yeah.
barley? How does the barley
It
fit in
sounds like
this?
a final resolution, like a final verdict. Like on top of all the things that have been owned back to Aba-Utugim, you also have, half of the barley, again, not specified from whom, probably self-evident in the context, original context. And then from the basket, some instructions, and then it's part of the resolution, I would say.
So you're thinking, mildly confusing because if the barley was owed to somebody on top of the other 2 debts, if I remember correctly, the other 2 debts were to 2 different people, correct? Scroll up a bit, if you don't mind.
Sure. Still up?
Oh, I think I made a mistake. Sorry, I got confused. So there's the 5 shekels of silver. Yep. And then what
Mhm.
else?
You have the 1 shekel
From
by the other
Urkesh.
person.
So that's a second person that he owes money to. If this
And
barley thing,
I wager as a compensation by the state or by someone granting the grain, the barley is given out, I guess, from some source, probably to Aba-Utugim, some barley, some grain will be given.
okay.
I
But
don't know whether
Aba-Utugim
from
owes money, is what we understand, right? He's the one
yes,
who's in debt, okay, or who has an obligation. I mean, the reason I'm maybe slightly confused, I don't know how it works on the Sumerian side. There's this whole big debate at what point in time on the Egyptian side you use metal money or metal units really as a unit of as an actual medium of exchange, and when you just use them as an accounting unit. And I guess what I'm wondering about is this whole barley thing about, is it to be paid back in barley? Is it
so the thing is, in the first Sumerian, quote unquote, period of literacy, so Ur, the Uruk period, sorry, the economy was basically state run. So you have Sumerian Marxism, sorry. So what basically happens is you have workers that work for, I mean, people that work from the state, and the state just pays them back, not in money, but in tangible goods such as barley, cloth, and well, bread. Um, so then, well, after that, after the Sargonic Empire and all things of that sort, you have the introduction of, well, shekels and different measures and stuff. But you also probably retain the system, at least for barley, which is granted by the state, I think. So
Okay.
it could be that. Maybe not as a means of payment of wage, but in some measure, probably barley is still given out in some instances and occasions, and this could be one of them.
Mhm.
Hence, the lack of, well, indication as for who is to give it out.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
That is all I can say about it. I am not.
Interesting.
I actually don't know any further. This is just supposition I'm making.
Very cool.
Alrighty then. Quite a good session, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was.
Back
Yeah.
into
Learn something new as always. Sorry for the many interruptions.
yeah, no problem.
Very good.
So
Shall we continue next week then, or how do we do it? Hang on, let me first press the stop button.
nice.